Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk More on Monday. As always, I'm your podcast host, Chloe, and we are continuing our interim series where we get to talk about whatever we'd like. As you guys who have been following us for a while know, we publish 2 issues a year, and when we come out with those issues, we get to sit down with our contributors and talk about their articles, what they mean, how they all came together, some of the behind the scenes. And in the in between of those issues, we get to just talk about things that we're passionate about. So we've had a great summer series. Make sure to go listen to our past episodes. But today we are talking about food sustainability, which is a very important topic, especially right now. And we are joined by DeAndre Wilson, who is going to tell us a little bit about why it's so important. So, hi, DeAndre. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here. We're going to have fun on this show.
Yes, we always do. But I'm going to turn the mic over to you and have you tell our listeners who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, listeners, as you already know, my name is DeAndre. I am in Evansville, Indiana, so at the very bottom of the state, right next door to Henderson, Kentucky. But here in Evansville, I'm involved in the food justice work, the food access ecosystem, trying to reduce food insecurity, trying to remove food deserts, whatever you want to label it as, I'm deeply involved in it. So I have a background in food. I went to Ivy Tech Community College where I got my degree in tourism, but I studied a little bit of culinary arts and different forms of hospitality. I also started a catering business with my brother, and we got locked in on food and how do we really enhance the culinary experience? How do we bring different flavor profiles, different experiences? We really wanted to help people understand that food is fun, increase the palate. I mean, everything you can possibly think of around food, because sometimes in Indiana, we get this bad rep of pizza, burgers, and hot wings. And we wanted to show people
And
that
tell me
food is
more.
yeah, we want to show people that food is so much more. So we started a catering business called Turntable. We've been successful. We did have a lot of roadblocks in the past, but we are getting over those today. And then my second venture is called Bedford Collab, which is a shared use commercial kitchen. It's the first in Evansville. My co-founder for that project, his name is Merrick. So I'm a two-time founder, if you didn't catch that. But now we're developing a shared kitchen. And so deeply involved in the food justice where, like I mentioned, Evansville doesn't have a shared kitchen. So it'll be the first one. And this is the first time that Evansville will have some infrastructure around food justice work in terms of kitchen space, cold storage, dry storage, you name it. So that's what I do in Evansville.
Amazing. Now, tell me, because I don't know, what is a shared kitchen?
So shared use kitchens. So people have probably heard of our cousin, the ghost kitchens. Those are typically for individuals that have restaurant concepts and they're really trying to test their idea. But here in the shared kitchen space, we're designed for bakers, caterers, farmers, food-based businesses who create CPG items. So, items that are sold at grocery stores like salsa and jams and jelly, things of that nature. We're trying to help startups really grow and start. We offer technical support. It's hard to start your own brick and mortar, especially in today's economy. So we
Yeah.
have the hood system, we have the grease trap, we have all the cooking wares and the large cooking equipment for rent at different price points to
Mm.
meet your needs. So that's what we do in the shared kitchen. We're not really designed to be a ghost kitchen, but again, the ghost kitchen is our cousin. If you're familiar with Bloomington, Indiana, they have a shared kitchen there and a community kitchen. And the community kitchen is another one of our cousins. And community kitchens are designed to reduce and fight against food insecurity.
Mhm.
So these kitchen spaces get to operate in the gray area and also provide infrastructure for food justice work. So it's really cool what you can do in these spaces. Even though I kind of labeled them, they're really not labeled. They can really venture out and do some things. So, like at Bedford Collab, we designed the kitchen so that we could have 5 member businesses working in there at one time.
Wow.
So I want the nonprofit organization that's working in food justice next to a food entrepreneur, next to a food truck owner and a baker and a farmer, because the name is Bedford Collab. We believe in collaboration. So how do those five professionals work together to meet the needs? So we're going to see some really cool stuff come out of Bedford Collab here soon.
That's awesome. I feel like it would create such a community mindset because I feel like
Yeah,
it's so easy, in a capitalist scape to be like, these are my competition. I don't want them to
yeah,
succeed. But when you're collaborating, then you're like,
yeah,
these are my partners. They're lifting me
yes,
up, saving a seat.
yes.
That's
That's what
awesome.
we want, because you think about some of these catering opportunities, 500 people, 800 people, 1,000 people. No one caterer wants to do that by themselves. So two or three
Right.
caterers could divide that up and continue to make money.
Yeah. Very smart. So we've talked before on the show about food insecurity. Just last week, we talked about the concept of dehumanization in policy. And one of the things that our guest, Maria Mozafar, brought up was this concept of food deserts.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear from you what food sustainability really means. And for people who don't know, what does it mean to be in a food desert? Why are people food insecure?
So the Bedford Collab, as I mentioned, the shared kitchen is actually located in a food desert, and everyone has their own definition. So the USDA had a definition of anyone living in a food desert can't walk 1 mile to get healthy alternative food options, or 1 mile to have food access. So the USDA really had its own definition, and then these 10 nonprofit had their own definitions, and they kind of varied along the lines of equitable food access to your cultural diet, equitable food access that you can receive at any time, cultural appropriate food dedicated to your diet. Um, if you had diet restrictions, healthy alternative foods, so that way you could get exactly what you need through your nutritional content or needs. So everyone really has their own definition. It's kind of like, what is local food? Well, by definition, local is considered 400 miles. I think local is the farmer down the street. So
Right.
really everyone has its own definition, but I think really the core of it is just basic food access. And being that here in Evansville, where Bedford Collab is located in a food desert, I have to drive 12 to 15 minutes away to go grocery shopping. I
Mhm.
should be able to ride my bike around the corner, walk around the corner, go up 2 blocks, something within distance, so I don't lose time. I have to get to work, maybe get the kids together. So it needs to be on my way within that vicinity. So to me, it has to do with access and distance, and then being able to get your dietary needs met. And so that kind of put all that together to make really the definition for me. But again, everyone has their own definition.
Yeah. That's interesting. 1 mile seems very short. I think about some of
Yeah.
these places in rural Indiana that
Yeah.
have to be food deserts unless, you have a
Yes.
relationship with a farmer.
Yes. And then the other debate is there's no food deserts because everyone has a car. But then so how do you debate against those individuals where it's no, not everyone has motor transportation?
Right.
So yeah, it's how do you win this debate when everyone has their own perspective, cultural background, their position of where they're at professionally?
Right.
It's so much.
I also did not think about the cultural aspect.
Yeah,
Not every supermarket has like kosher or halal options.
yeah,
So
yeah,
how far are you driving to find those
yeah.
options?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you've talked about it a little bit, but outside of Bedford Collab, how are your businesses, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, serving this food sustainability mission?
So I'm also a part of the Evansville Food Commission, as well as which is his own organization, well, a commission basically. And I also serve on the another organization called Healthy Community Partners. And basically, I'm around the table with all of the health professionals, nonprofit professionals working in the food justice work. And because food insecurity is so layered, and we're trying to reach the same audience, but yet so many people out there we're still trying to reach, it's difficult to how do we move the needle because some of these committees, I must say, they're too big. You talk about
Right.
30 to 40 people. That's also comes with its own challenges. But being involved in those groups, I kind of took it upon myself to do my own professional development. So I was just in Bloomington at a farm stop learning about that. I went up to Indianapolis and hung out at Cleo's Bodega to really understand, okay, how is Bloomington, a smaller market, and then Indy, a much larger market, meeting these needs? And it's simply just building trust and awareness in neighborhoods that deserve it.
Mm.
And so that's kind of what I'm advocating for, being a part of the Food Commission and the Healthy Community Partners Group is let's just do it. Let's just experiment. That's the
Yeah.
entrepreneurial part of me. It's like, let's get 5K, 10K, 20K, and let's experiment because we can be frozen by the fact that we can't do it, or we
Mhm.
can just do something, maybe make some mistakes, fine, learn from it, come back, we'll see, and then continue to go. So
Yeah.
it's an uphill battle, but I believe in let's experiment. Let's figure it out. What's the worst could happen?
Right.
That's what I have fire extinguishers for. What's the worst? So just trying to move the needle a little bit at a time, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Um, there are companies nonprofits, I suppose. I have
Mhm.
volunteered with something called Food Rescue, which I believe is
Yeah,
a nationwide movement.
yeah,
It seems like a very similar idea, right? That this
yeah,
food that would potentially just go to waste can go to
yeah,
places like women's shelters, homeless
yeah,
shelters, and
yeah,
become, served in that way as well.
yeah. So now we're talking about the environmental impact, and just because food at a grocery store, food on the shelf has 7 days where it needs to be sold. Some of it can go a little longer depending on what the item is.
Mhm.
But whenever you can no longer sell that food, even in a restaurant, at what point can you repackage it and just give it away for free to individuals who need it? We
Right.
are protected by the Good Samaritan law. Everyone does have a kind heart. We're not trying to hurt anybody. The
Mhm.
food can still be consumed. You just can't sell it because you've cooked it and you've changed the molecules, but you can still consume it. And so that's why we're talking about the environmental impact. So how do we, throughout these rescue programs, how do we transport food to get it into the hands of those who need it? So that's important. I've read all kind of articles like people are dumpster diving for it as long as it's still in the package, and they're finding it that's still in the package. So I'm not here to judge, but
I
you
know.
know, hey,
I mean, that it's food. There's no reason that it should be in the dumpster anyway.
yes, yes, yes.
It's just
Someone
the
should be
idea that they're
taking it.
not making money, right?
Absolutely. Someone should be taking it to the community kitchen or a church kitchen,
Yeah.
preparing it and just giving it out for free. It
Hmm.
was going to the trash or already was there. Let's
Right.
do something with it.
I also want to circle back on what you said about, going to Bloomington and Indianapolis to find out what was working there and
Yeah,
why their markets were so good. I
yeah,
feel like that's a great idea for anybody that's trying to get a jump off point in terms
yeah,
of like what can they do, because a very similar thing happened here in Fort Wayne. They wanted to start their own farmers market, but
yeah,
they didn't really have a model. So they went to places with really successful farmers market, like the one that spans
yeah.
miles in Des Moines, and they
Uh-huh.
looked, on a small scale, how can we make this work, right? And
Yeah,
they brought it back, and there are so many farmers in this area that they could, pull into this, and small businesses, even micro businesses that's just somebody that's crocheting things, and suddenly
mhm.
you have these local farmers and businesses that are flourishing.
Yes. Yeah, it started with a vision and experiments.
Yeah.
Mhm. And that's why I encourage more experiments. And like I said, I encourage anyone to go to Indianapolis, Bloomington, learn because they've done it for us. Let's just get the notes and do it ourselves.
Right.
Mhm.
You just have to have a model, a jumping off point.
For sure, for sure. Because I
So
know that,
yeah, go ahead.
well, I was gonna say, because I know that Cleo's Bodega in Indianapolis has done a really good job, and then the Bloomington Farm Stop has done another a fantastic job. Great, great listening and great trust building. I'm here for it.
Yeah, got to work together. So to wrap it up, what are some quick tips that you would give the people listening if they want to get into the food sustainability movement?
So the first thing, definitely attend meetings. I know we get exhausted about meetings that probably could have been an email, but it's
Right.
best to go into those meetings and listen, take great notes to figure out
Mhm.
exactly where you fit in, because you can go into those spaces and be so overwhelmed and then want to tackle all of it. But go into those rooms, find the lowest hanging fruit, and then work from there. There's probably something really easy like connecting two people together that didn't know each other, and you know them. So yeah, go listen. Just go listen and try to connect those dots, because you need visionaries and then you need doers, and those doers need to be able to experiment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us to talk about
Yeah,
food
yeah,
sustainability. And
no
if
problem.
people are listening to this and they want to find you outside of this space, how can they find you?
So you can add me on LinkedIn, DeAndre Wilson. You can go to bedfordcollab.com. You can find me on Turntable's website. That's the catering business. You can Google me, just put Evansville, Indiana behind my name. It'll pop up all the contact information, and I'm available.
Awesome. And I love Turntable. What a great name.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you guys
Yeah.
for listening. Make sure to keep an eye out for our next episodes and issue 11, which is coming soon. We may get some sneak peek content about that as well. And make sure to go join us over on our Patreon, where we're going to dig deeper with DeAndre about some of the nitty gritty of food sustainability. So make sure to join us over there. And we'll see you again next week when we talk more on Monday. Bye, guys.